The year was 1258. A cold wind swept the plains carrying dust and dread. On the horizon, a dark line appeared, not a storm, but an army. The Mongol horde had come to the gates of Baghdad, stretching from one end of the sightline to the other. Their standards, marked by the Great Khan, flapped in the uneasy air. The sky seemed to darken, as if nature itself was bracing for the violence to come. Baghdad had stood for centuries, but this was different. This was an ending.
I am the grandson of Genghis Khan. The Caliph has defied me. The city must be punished.
The silence before the siege was heavy, filled with the promise of devastation.
We move with purpose. Each man knows his task. We are the instruments of Hulagu's wrath.
Inside the city, people watched from the ramparts, seeing endless ranks of warriors and terrifying siege engines. Fear was a cold stone in their stomachs. Baghdad, the heart of the Abbasid Caliphate, was about to be extinguished. Soldiers gripped their spears and bows, trying to show courage, but their faces were pale. They knew the stories of Mongol ruthlessness. The Mongol army was a machine built for conquest, disciplined, ruthless, efficient. They set up camp with practiced speed, dug trenches, and positioned their mighty catapults. As the sun set, its last rays caught the polished steel of their helmets and countless arrows. The city of Baghdad was surrounded. There was no escape. The siege was about to begin. Inside the walls, fear spread like a plague. People gathered in hushed groups, looking to the Caliph's palace for hope. None came. The Caliph, al-Mustasim, had misjudged the danger, believing his city untouchable. Now, the consequence of that pride camped outside his gates.
We're hopelessly outnumbered. The Mongols are masters of siege warfare.
The defenders were a mix of soldiers and citizens, staring at a city of tents and war machines.
I pray for my children. Every shadow feels like a threat. We are trapped, waiting for the storm.
Panic simmered. Merchants closed shops, scholars clutched manuscripts, mothers held children close. The city's normal sounds faded, replaced by the hum of fear. The Caliph and his advisors were paralyzed by indecision. Some argued for surrender, others for a fight to the death. But the Mongols were not there to negotiate. The real power lay with Hulagu Khan. He would decide the city's fate. The silence broke with a deafening roar. The Mongol catapults began their terrible work. Great stones crashed against Baghdad's ancient walls, sending tremors through the ground. Dust and debris rained down on the defenders. This was not a battle of swords and spears, but a relentless mechanical assault.
We launch pots filled with burning naphtha. The flames spread everywhere. We do not tire.
The Mongols hurled fire and stone, turning day into a choking, smoky twilight. The city was being cooked within its own walls.
We fire arrows and pour boiling oil, but it's like stopping a tidal wave with a bucket.
The defenders fought with desperate courage, but the Mongol army was relentless. For days, the assault continued. The walls began to crack and crumble. Gaps appeared, chaos within visible from without. The Mongol engineers filled the defensive moat, preparing for the final push. The storm of fire and stone was just the beginning. The dreaded moment arrived. With a groan, a major section of the eastern wall collapsed.
A roar erupted from the Mongol lines. The way into Baghdad was open.
Hulagu's warriors surged forward, pouring through the breach.
The city's last line of defense was broken. Chaos erupted.
The Mongol soldiers swarmed the streets, swords and spears flashing. They showed no mercy.
Men, women, and children were cut down. The screams of the dying echoed through the city.
Buildings were set alight. Flames spread from house to house, market to mosque.
The people ran for their lives, but there was no sanctuary.
The Mongols broke down doors, dragging people into the streets. The slaughter was indiscriminate.
A lifetime of learning, art, and family could end in an instant.
The city descended into anarchy. The conqueror's will was law.
Pockets of resistance were crushed. The Caliph's soldiers fought with despair but were overwhelmed.
The city's spirit was broken. Hope died in the smoke-filled streets.
The Mongols moved with terrifying efficiency, erasing a culture, tearing down a civilization.
The Golden City drowned in its own blood. Amid the slaughter, the Mongols targeted the city's greatest treasure, knowledge.
They stormed the House of Wisdom, the greatest library in the world. For centuries, scholars had gathered here, translating and discovering.
The Mongols saw only objects. They ripped covers from books seeking gold and threw the pages into the Tigris.
The river, which had given life to the city, became its graveyard. Legend says the Tigris ran black with ink for 7 days.
The knowledge of generations was washed away, a loss that could never be recovered.
The river also ran red with blood. Bodies and books floated side by side.
The heart of the Islamic Golden Age had stopped beating. When the Mongols were finished, Baghdad was a smoldering ruin. Grand mosques were charred skeletons, markets silent, palaces looted and burned. The irrigation canals were destroyed, turning gardens into wasteland. For 5 centuries, the Abbasid Caliphate had led the Islamic world. It was not just the loss of life, but the loss of a world. The vibrant culture of Abbasid Baghdad was gone forever. The human cost was staggering. Hundreds of thousands killed, perhaps 1 million. Survivors wandered through ruins surrounded by ghosts. The psychological impact was profound. The fall of Baghdad sent shockwaves across the Muslim world. Hulagu Khan had the caliph executed, ending the Abbasid line in Baghdad. The city's authority was shattered. The Islamic world was left fragmented and vulnerable. The Siege of Baghdad in 1258 was more than a military victory. It was a turning point in world history. The destruction marked the end of the Islamic Golden Age. Baghdad's fall halted the region's intellectual momentum. Yet history is a story of resilience. Baghdad was rebuilt, but never regained its former glory. The destruction of the canals led to the permanent decline of Mesopotamia's agriculture. Political fragmentation and instability followed. Today, we look back not just as history, but as a lesson. The story of Baghdad teaches us the immense value of knowledge and culture. It reminds us how quickly what we build can be destroyed. The river Tigris no longer runs black with ink, but the story of what was lost serves as a timeless warning. Protect the centers of learning and understanding in our own time. The memory of 1258 became a scar, a cautionary tale of greatness lost.